Hey, good morning, YouTube. Here's Heiko. I didn't want to keep you guys hanging, and in the interim where I'm kind of busy and I'm not getting around to editing some of the pre-filmed videos that I already have in the making, I want to take you along, or at least give you an insight of the projects that I'm currently working at. So behind me, you see the charm of the 1970s. So this house that I live in was built in 1975. They built a fireplace, as it was so common, and put this fake rock veneer on the wall, and I hate the thing. So then in 1995, I believe, or 1992, they decided to not use the very energy inefficient fireplace, but put a pellet stove insert into the fireplace, which also now has come to the point that it's very inefficient, makes a lot of noise, uses a lot of pellets, and most of all, it isn't energy independent. So when we have power outages, I want to have a way of heating our house at least slightly with no electricity necessary. Our pellet stove can't provide that. In combination of me wanting to get rid of this wall, which we're going to take a look here in a second, and then also getting rid of this pellet stove, I decided to tear down the entire chimney out of this house, remove this entire wall, and then put a modern EPA-approved catalytic wood-burning stove in this corner. Here, let me show you a little bit closer up. So this wall here is literally, here's outside wall, and here's outside wall, creates a 45-degree angle in our living room. You see the piece of plywood, that's the opening of the fireplace. In there is a factory manufactured steel firebox. Unfortunately, it's a steel firebox. If we would have had a masonry built firebox in there, I would have probably just bought a wood burning insert and shoved a wood burning insert in there. Would have taken this rock veneer off and would have called it a day. But since it's a steel firebox, which is called a heatilator, I believe, a heatilator type firebox that also has a secondary, let me turn on some light here for you, a secondary air system. So these pipes that you can see, they are actually passing through the flow of exhaust gases. So they are going through the chimney, and it's supposed to extract heat energy from the exhaust gases, and it takes in air from somewhere underneath the firebox. Usually people have an air intake here and an air intake there, and then it's supposed to suck in cold air from the floor. The air goes through those pipes and then comes out into the room and adds, kind of warm air to the room by being a little bit more energy efficient. The problem with those prefabricated steel fireboxes is those pipes are so close that I cannot run a new flue pipe through the chimney. And for any modern wood burning insert, you are supposed to put a 8-inch pipe up the chimney. And in between those ventilation pipes, I just don't have enough space to put 8 inches of flue pipe in there. And so then some people take an angle grinder to it and cut some of that stuff away. But per building code, the original firebox and fireplace has to be in functional conditions. So you can't just cut parts out. You are in a code violation at that point. And if you ever want to sell the property and then you have a proper building inspection, they will find out that you manipulated this fireplace. So if someone really wants to make sure they are not buying a bad property, they get some building inspector. They will look down your chimney, make sure that's all safe and secure, and then they will see that you have hacked around in your steel firebox, and the fireplace as by itself is not functional anymore, and that is a code violation. So instead of messing around trying to make something work that's kind of illegal, I'm going to tear down this entire chimney. So the chimney is a masonry outer shell and then the steel box on the inside. Here in this section, and this section is more or less just drywall with this rock veneer on it. And the chimney is really only in the middle with this steel firebox. And now we're going to go outside. We're going to start at the very top on the roof. So there you go. That's again the charm of the 1970s. Fake rock veneer. So this is factory made. This is not real rock out of a quarry. This is cast somewhere in a factory. And that was very popular in the 70s to put that on any kind of concrete surface. So my chimney, pretty tall, pretty massive in dimensions. It's made out of cinder block with concrete fill and rebar. And you can see I have my friend Mark's dump trailer that I'm going to be using to transport all this material off. So you can see it's a single story. So we only have to make it from up there to roughly there in my living room. At the same time, we want to make sure I don't drop anything onto my air conditioning. I've already removed the top end of the chimney pipe, the cap and all that stuff. And now we're going to show you the machinery that I'm using. And then we're going to go up on the roof. So when I initially started out, I used this little rotary hammer here with a chisel in it, and it was just not cutting the mustard. And then I was debating whether to rent or to buy a bigger machine. There are of course demolition hammers that put out way more energy, but the problem is that I have to be able to lift it up and use it in some sort of horizontal orientation. So I ended up buying this one. It's a 20-pound machine. Model number is the HE35. It's also a rotary hammer. They make a very similar one that is actually a demolition hammer, so it doesn't have the rotary function. You can't drill holes with it. But since, you know, I use my tools not just once, I want it to be as universal as possible. So I ended up buying the rotary hammer version rather than the demolition hammer. Energy-wise, I bet the demolition hammer would have had a little bit more energy. But let's take it out of the box. I haven't even looked at it yet. So that's the machine, owner's manual, 2 sets of extra brushes, so that's good. It's a brushed motor. We'll have to replace those eventually. It seems like someone already had the box open or it just fell apart. Comes with 2 chisels, that's good. So one with a pointy tip and one with an actual chisel end here. So that's good, you don't have to buy those. They are probably about 20 bucks at Harbor Freight. Comes with a tube of grease. You want to put some grease on the end here of the SDS Max or Max SDS bit. Thank you for purchasing your tool. Please keep in mind this tool is subject to a restocking fee. They already told me that at checkout. Anywho, so and then this machine here, the HE35. It's pretty large compared to the other little thing that I have over there. The HE36 would have been the same dimensions with only demolition function, no rotary. Then you have a rotating handle here in the front. Up here you have, yes, you guys can see, the selector. So this is hammer drill. You can also return the reverse the rotating direction. So if you get stuck while drilling, you can put it in reverse and then hopefully get the drill out. That's pretty nice. So you just turn it there or turn it there, in which direction you want the drill to spin, and then you can put it into the hammer or a demolition function. And then here on this side, you guys can see it's a permanent on-off switch. So when you have it in the hammer function, in the demolition function, you just use the on-off switch, so you don't have to constantly pull a trigger. You also have a speed adjuster for how many beats per minute this machine impacts whatever you're working on. So that's also RPM setting for the rotary function, for the drilling function, depending on bit size. You know, a smaller bit, you want to have a higher RPM, a larger diameter drill bit, you want a slower speed. And then you apparently have a control light here. If the power is plugged in, it will light up. We will demonstrate that here in a second. And the second light is showing you when the brushes, we have replacements, when those brushes need to be replaced. And then I would say, I haven't checked yet, but somewhere here on this machine is probably a cover that you can take off to replace those brushes, but that's what the manual is for. I'm not going to worry about it. This is brand new. The grease is really only for the bit itself. You don't have to fill a grease compartment like here on my old little machine here. This actually has a grease compartment. You open that up and you're supposed to fill it with lithium grease. But the new machine apparently doesn't need that. I mean, just for sake of accuracy of statement, let's take a quick peek. SDS Max type rotary hammer, the HE35. If you want demolition only, it's the HE36, I believe. My dog's running in circles around me. Outlet, warnings, the chuck, the mode selector. The carbon brushes are apparently, oh no, that's the carbon brush indicator. Oh yeah, I showed you the on-off switch for the hammer function, and then of course you also have a trigger for the drill function. So you definitely want to use the trigger for the drill. And I would assume that once you have it in drill function, that the on-off switch will be not functional, so you have to use the trigger for that. Right. What else do we have here? Speed knob. Grease on the chuck. Grease on the bit. Grease on the bit. Then chisel adjustment. Adjusting the function. Mode selector, what does it do? To chisel, rotate the mode selector to adjust the chisel angle to the, you can now rotate the bit. Oh, okay. Yeah. So you apparently also use this if, let's say, you have the chisel in and it's at this point and you want it this way, you can use also this function to rotate the chisel very slowly. And then maintenance and service, prevent serious injury, cleaning before each use, inspect the general condition, after use wipe external surfaces, lubricate the bit shank with grease each time before installing to maintain the life of the internal mechanism. And then a parts list, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, let's get this plastic bag out of the way. I'm going to get us some power, and then we're going to try out the machine, or at least turn it on for the first time. So here's another tidbit of information. This is a 14 amp machine. Most residential outlets are protected with a 15 amp circuit breaker. So this is usable in any normal residential outlet, but then when you add a lot of extension cord to it, you got to make sure that the extension cord can also carry the current. So this one here is a very cheap, probably 16 gauge Harbor Freight quality extension cord, or now this is Home Depot HDX 16 amp, cannot carry this much current over, let's say, 50 feet. If you have a 50-foot long extension cord, you definitely don't want to use a 16 gauge extension cord. You got to go with, yeah, I would say minimum 14 gauge with a 15 foot cord. Better even is a 12 gauge. This is a 12 gauge extension cord, so what I'm saying with 12 gauge American wire gauge is the thickness or diameter of the conductors in here. There are 3 conductors in here, one for the hot, one for the neutral, and one for the ground. And you want to make sure that your wire gauge is thick enough to carry enough current to feed this machine, especially when you add a 50-foot or 100-foot long extension cord. So the longer the run of wire is, the more inherent resistance you are adding to the circuit, and the thicker your cord has to be. I know they're expensive, but if you buy once, cry once, and if you buy cheap, you buy twice. You buy a 50-foot cheapo like this one here, that's maybe good enough to power like a little drill or maybe a jigsaw. That's what I usually use it for the smaller powered hand tools, corded hand tools. But if you run a machine like this, or maybe like a small stick welder, you definitely want to have a thicker gauge extension cord. It's a polarized, is that the correct word, polarized plug, so you can only plug it in one rotation or one orientation. This way it doesn't fit, this way it fits. All right, let's see here. So we have it in hammer mode, and then there's also the on-off switch, which will just keep it on. There's a little bit of some smear on the handle. It doesn't feel all that great. Let's see if the on-off switch works when the machine is in rotary function. No, that's what I thought. So when you are drilling holes, you are required to use the trigger. Right now we have a green light here on the side that indicates that we're connected to power. My brushes seem to be okay. And we're just going to put it into demolition mode. Then I'm going to get my ladder out, go on the roof, and I'll show you what I'm going to do up there. And we're also going to see how well this machine works. So, to just get prepped, are we going to use this one or the pointy one? Now let's start with this one here. Okay, some grease on the thing. It's even sealed. I usually buy those round tubs at the car parts store. Some lithium-based grease. I would say this is lithium grease. Yeah, looks like it. You can get that at any car parts store, and just put some grease on here. When you have one of those tubs, you just take the lid off and dip it in, and you're done, so you don't have to get grease all over your fingers. So that's cool. And then you need to just pull this chuck back, and that's it. That's it. Let's get the ladder out. Off we go. So I have my safety watch down there. That's my mom. She's gonna keep an eye on me. This is a very low pitch roof, so I'm not gonna wear any harness. I'm using one of the vent pipes to hold my cords up here so they don't fall off the roof all the time. And there's a machine, and there is you. And let's see what the machine does. Oh yeah, before I forget, I also gotta wear some goggles, some respirator, and some earplugs because it's gonna be really loud. All right, let's see what the new machine does. Sound's gonna be horrible. Just don't hold it against me. The little corner was already removed with the old machine. Now let's try out this Oh no, it only rotates. So the left and right setting is only so that you can rotate it by hand. Okay, here we go. Looks pretty good. Machine works pretty well compared to my small machine. Alrighty guys, let me say this is it for today. Let me encourage you to do your own projects, find something to do instead of always hiring everyone. Save some money, take on some easy projects yourself, experiment with tools. YouTube is always there to help you to find a video that might help you for the topic. If it's car repair, your lawnmower, or taking a chimney down, buy yourself some tools. This is very specific, of course. Start with the basics, get a hammer and a chisel, and off you go. Do something. Alrighty, sweat equity, that pays. Alrighty guys, hang in there. See you in the next one. Bye. Alrighty guys, so we are already deep into the structure of my house. Here down there, you can see the trusses that were cut out when this chimney opening was framed in. Here you see the roof decking, and underneath there's actually a 2x4 framing and a couple of vertical supports here and here. But I don't know exactly yet how we're gonna fill this back in, because down there you can see this is the rock veneer covered wall that you can see from our living room that we're gonna tear down. And ultimately we're gonna close the ceiling and we're gonna close the roof until we get around to installing a freestanding wood burning stove. So that wall back there is gonna go, and this is gonna be a closed ceiling and a closed roof. Now I just have to consult with my contractor friend Mark how we're gonna close this in here properly. All right, and I think this would be the end of this workday today. I think I will first close off the roof and then start working on stuff down below. Alrighty guys, hang in there. See you in the next one. Bye.